Hello everybody, my name is Benny and welcome to The Fool's Apprentice. So today we are doing another tarot study video. We are going to go over the swords in Connecting with the Tarot by Dawn Michelle. I'm going to tell you that this was so challenging for me. The questions, the way they're formulated and the way I think conflict quite a bit. I got so exasperated that I just stopped. I just felt very overwhelmed. I got mad. I got mad over studying, but I got mad. So I did what Dawn Michelle said. If I have any questions, please contact me. So one thing about Dawn that I really like is if you reach out to her, and she puts her email on her YouTube channel. She'll put it on there in the description and you can email her. Uh, so I went over several questions with her and really helped me a lot. She really wanted, one of the things that she said that really stuck out for me was that she really wanted us to break from the systems that we're accustomed to. She wanted us to really think much more broad. She was really trying to stretch our mind, which is probably one of the reasons that I got really frustrated. And she has such a command of the tarot. Like she was bringing up numerology and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, I got a long way to go. But getting the information from Dawn really settled me and I was able to refocus, recharge. I took a lot less pressure off my shoulders because I felt like there was a way I needed to do it and there was only one way. And she just broke that door down and allowed me just to freely answer the questions. In fact, I actually gave her some of my answers to some of the questions that I found very difficult. And she was like, yeah, that works. That is right. And I was like, okay. If she says it's right, for me, of course, then it's right. And it made sense with the question. It wasn't like me off in right field or left field. But let's turn around. Let's see what I came up for the swords. And we'll have a little lovely discussion. And I'm back. Okay. So just a little recap on what I'm using. So, of course, I'm using Dawn Michelle's Connecting with a Tarot book. I really, really like this book quite a bit. It's Tarot Mastering the Art of Intuitive Reading by Teresa Reed. It's a really easy read, really breaks down the cards in a way that I can digest them. In addition, I'm using Holistic Tarot, and y'all are like, really? And I'm like, yes, because there's this whole section that's only the cards. So you got like the Five of Swords, and this is what you have. And then I highlight the parts that are relevant to my studies. In addition, I am using the Tarot Volatile deck as my study deck, which I think is a little crazy to start it with that, but it really speaks to me. And then I got this beautiful book. I mean, it's just stunning. It's stunning. And I'm going to have to figure out this light with this glare. But it is a beautiful, beautiful book. Lots of information. And then, of course, I got my journal. Now, let's get some of this stuff aside. And what I've done is, let's get to where I'm at. Of course, I made a mistake. I got to fix that. People gave me some really good ideas on Facebook. I got to fix this. But I'm not stressing about it. And then I have an empty page that I'm going to do something with. And then we're into the Ace of Swords. Now, I used a highlighter for my writing up here. 2 different colored pens. And then my cards. All right. So, now, like I said, this was very challenging. Oh, I'm moving my mic. Sorry guys. All right. I think we're okay. Are we okay? Yeah. So let me zoom in a little bit. All right. Hopefully you can see that. So some of the questions were really, I don't know, they felt so complicated to me that the word choices felt very abstract at times. I don't even know if that's the right term, but I had a very hard time wrapping my brain around the concepts sometimes in the questions she was asking me, which is the part that got me really frustrated. It's like I don't know the words, but for some reason my very structured mind was struggling, which is ironic because I used to be a sign language interpreter, and one of the skills that I had to develop is really being able to think very broadly and outside of the box to be able to interpret between sign language and English. But anyways, off topic. On the Ace of Swords, what I did is I went through the books and found the words that really had meaning for me in regards to that particular card. Some of them have a lot of words on there. They're not necessarily all the words that I will memorize. This is just to give me some groundwork because as I work with these cards and the word choices I picked, little by little, I'll be able to pull them from my mind as I interpret the cards. Now, one of the questions that I really liked that came up with an answer that was, I thought, a little surprising for me was, how might this ace shift your way of thinking as you work with this deck? And my answer was, instead of having a flight of random thoughts, this ace can provide a clarity of mind and build a relationship with the mind. Okay, so I thought that was very, very interesting as that came up. Because one of the things is, well, I do mindful breathing in the mornings. And as I have learned how to meditate, and I've been doing this for years, I have really gotten accustomed to the thought process that my mind tends to have, patterns that it has. And the Ace of Swords deals with the mind. And so I thought that this card really fit that idea. As I work with the cards, I will eventually find patterns in my thinking as cards come up. And noticing that, it will allow me to find where that line is where I'm being constricted in my thinking and be able to broaden my interpretation of the card. At least that's my thought. Isn't that a beautiful card? So the Two of Swords. I have a lot of these highlighted. I may not cover them all. Ask, what balance of the mind might the two bring? And I really liked my answer here. It says to be able to see the choices clearly and possible outcomes for both. So as I've gotten older, I have come to realize that every choice that I make has multiple outcomes. And it may not even have the outcome that I think I thought it would have. Um, this skill, I developed this skill with age and with my interpreting, depending on the choices that I make in interpreting, sentences. But this also came up for me because I used to play poker quite a bit, and I'm really good, by the way. Um, I would have to critically think about all the possible outcomes when I'm dealing with somebody else and my cards. And so for some reason, that just came up with the Two of Swords. And for me, that really makes a lot of sense because really you're looking at two choices. And the hope is that you can clearly see that you have two choices and you can really follow the path of either choice that you make and then come up with the appropriate decision for you. So I thought that was kind of cool. My voice is sounding really deep today. I don't know what's going on. Excuse me, guys. All right. Oh, look at that. The Three of Swords. Now, again, for me on the Three of Swords, it really isn't about necessarily emotional heartache. It's really about, this a lesson that has been learned that you don't necessarily appreciate, and it creates pain. It creates emotional pain. So it is the mind's resistant to whatever is happening that creates the emotional reaction of pain or sorrow or anything else that is uncomfortable. And question number one is, what thoughts might this three project? Death laced with pain due to an ending or something one does not want to let go of. And that's the thing. Relationships ending, a job ending. There is some type of finality that is occurring that you don't want for it to end, or that it has to end, and it in itself, and you having to make the decision for something to end, you find painful because you're resistant to what is going to in the future. So that's how I see this card. But that kind of solidified my thinking about the card. Now, the Four of Swords. So in the Four of Swords, and I'm only picking a few questions here and there, one so far in each one, just so you get an idea of how this works for me, because it may be different for you. So, how might the four bring structure to your way of thinking? And I wrote, to be mindful of the stressors of my life, to ensure I take a break when I need to put myself first. And that is one of the things that I've learned to do, is learning how to put myself first and recognizing when either my mind is tired due to stress, feeling overwhelmed, or my body is tired due to having to work long hours or have a lot to do or not getting enough sleep, or when my spirituality just feels like it's wavered due to the fact that I haven't been practicing it, or I haven't been grounded in my spirituality. And being able to recognize that and realizing that I have to set boundaries, I have to say no, so I could take care of myself first. Because if I can take care of myself first, I can be there for all the things that need to be done. So the power of no is a lesson I learned a long time ago. It can be very uncomfortable, but it's served me well. All right. Do I get the five? Yeah. The Five of Swords. Oh, we skipped a page. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Okay. How might the five represent limited beliefs? It can limit a person's ability to see others' perspective, therefore create conflict for being rigid and closed-minded. And if you're unwilling, let me phrase that, if I am unwilling to listen with an open mind, then I've already lost in the conversation. One of the things about having an open mind is that it allows you the opportunity to learn something. But if I already know the answer and am not willing to hear somebody else's perspective, then, I may miss an opportunity of broadening my knowledge. And I think that goes with the cards as well. If I already have an idea of what the Five of Swords is, and then it was like the Fool. So the Fool ended up, I came up because of this deck. The word brave came up for me with the Fool. I'd never seen that before. I've never heard of that before. And I had to think about that for a while. Like, is it okay to have that word? And finally it was like, of course it is. It is this, for this particular Fool, that is a word that I can utilize. Which, it was because I was open minded that I was able to contemplate and make the decision that for me, brave was a good word for the fool. The Six of Swords. If you hear that, that's Precious in the background, uh, messing with her food. All right, the Six. I don't even know which one I had highlighted. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. Now, this was a question that kind of got me. I don't know if this was the one that I had marked. If not, oh well. How might the Six encourage you to synthesize opposing ideas as you work with this deck? I get it. It wasn't, but it's just the word synthesize kind of threw me for a bit. By looking at the pros and cons of both opposing ideas and find a median to work from to find an agreeable compromise to align with your morals and values. And the thing is that that is about being open minded. It is about critically thinking about all the choices that you have and making a decision basically that you can live with. So that, wait, I don't feel like that was the one. Oh, it was number two. How might this six depict moving away from old ways of thinking? And I wrote, by looking beyond the life we are leaving behind, by putting ourselves just. Okay, I'm going to start over. By looking beyond the life we are leaving behind, by putting ourselves first and thinking about the life we want to live. And the thing is that when we take stock, when I take stock of my life now and the life I would like to have, being able to do both allows me to walk through the door that I'm afraid of opening. Seven of Swords, I made a mess, so I got another page that I'm going to glue. Seven of Swords. Let's see what we got here. I know that this video might be boring, but this is, I mean, I'm studying. Like, how exciting can it be to study? How might the seven bring intellectual breakthroughs as you walk through this deck? And I wrote, by looking at why we are making the choices in our card meanings during a reading, by pausing before speaking and tapping into the thought process for your readings. And I think for me, this really happens afterwards, where I do a reading and then I reflect as to why did I make the decisions that I made regarding that card in this reading. Is there another way it could have been read? And this is a skill that I developed while I worked as an interpreter, because working as an interpreter can be extremely challenging. And sometimes you don't always make the best choices. You may be able to get the concept and the meaning across, but there was probably maybe a more efficient way of providing the interpretation, or maybe a better word choice. And so I tend to reflect, because in doing so, it allows me to utilize that retrospection in the next assignment that comes up when that concept arises in someone's speech. We're going to skip that because I already read a lot of them. Okay, I think this is where I about lost it. What dynamic process might this 9 project? And I'm like, what do you mean by dynamic process? I don't understand. So I had to look up dynamic, I had to look up process, and then I just typed in some sentences with dynamic process in it to see what came up on Google. And this is when I ended up reaching out to Dawn, asked my questions, and then I was able to come back, and the answer that I came up with, that's really dark. The answer that I came up with is the arduous process taken to come from a place of self-blame or self-imposed punishment to the realization of letting go of what one has no control over. And I think a lot of times we stress out, get a lot of anxiety, toss and turn at night, because we are anticipating what's going to happen the next day. Or have you ever gotten into a conversation with somebody, gotten into a big fight, and you're alone in your room laying in bed and it hasn't even occurred? But you emotionally feel the impact of that conversation that you're having in your mind. I think this is that same thing. And sometimes I have to detach from those thoughts because I come to realize that I'm actually living in a future that doesn't exist emotionally in the present. And sometimes I just have to let that go because I have no control over what that conversation is going to look like or the outcome of that conversation. And then, went through the rest of it pretty much the same. This this was another one that kind of threw me for a loop. What receptive energy? Okay, receptive energy. What are you talking about? Might this queen bring to your work with a debt? And so, of course, I looked up receptive. I looked up energy. Did my sentences with receptive energy, and came up with something very simple: consideration and open-mindedness. And if you notice that those kinds of thoughts have come up more than once with the swords. So I think that is something that's going to be a pattern that I have to watch when I do readings with the swords. Uh, how might the king embody the manifestation of its suit? I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? What do you mean? Oh, but I sat with it. And finally, and that's the thing. I think I put so much pressure of me. I'm like, Penny, why don't you understand this? Like, you're smart. Come on. You know what these words mean. And I felt that pressure that I was putting on myself. So I had to take some breaths, sit down, and just allow my brain to just have a flowing conversation about what that meant until the answer came, which is by making clear, concise decisions that are just to all parties involved without the benefit to himself, which I thought was actually really, really good. Okay, guys, so I don't know how exciting this was. I was going to show all the cards as I did each one, but this is such a stunning deck. All right. I hope this helped. If you're studying connecting with the tarot, um, let me know what you think. Also, hey, I got new lighting. Let me know what you think about the new lighting. Is it too bright? Is the color of my skin off? Just give me an idea. All right. Bye, guys. Have a good day.